it takes effort to try and be more like someone else. It doesn't take energy to be you once you just trust that you're who you should be.
Welcome to the Legacy Branding Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Beauparlant, here to guide you through the journey of selling your business and building a personal brand that leaves a lasting impact. On the show, we'll explore real-life founder stories, expert insights, and actionable strategies to help you navigate the transition, avoid post-sale crisis, and create your impact-driven legacy brand. Whether you're thinking of selling, building to sell, or already on the other side, this podcast is your go-to resource for making your next evolution your best one yet. Let's dive in. Today on the Legacy Branding Podcast, I'm joined by Jem Fuller, a true modern-day explorer who has lived a life full of adventure, transformation, and deep wisdom. From backpacking barefoot to leading corporate teams, fire dancing to executive coaching, Jem's journey has been anything but conventional. And now as a leadership coach, speaker, international retreat facilitator, and the author of The Art of Conscious Communication, he helps people lead with authenticity, self-awareness, and connection. And I can't wait to dive into his insights on personal growth, leadership, and creating a legacy through the way we communicate and show up in the world. Jem, welcome to the show.
Hey, Laura, thank you so much for having me on your show.
I'm excited because as soon as we met, you and I connected, and we're on opposite sides of the world, and it's tomorrow for you, and finding the time to make this work is always a challenge, but I always love our conversations and feel so connected to you and what you're creating. I love your journey, and I think it's so interesting to hear people's evolution. So I'd love for you to share that journey of this backpacker to the work that you're doing today. Take us on that journey with you.
Someone was asking me the other day, or they were commenting on the courage that it takes to walk the untrodden path, to go where people haven't gone before. And they were commenting on that. And I said, oh, it's interesting because through my life, I never felt like it took remarkable courage to do the crazy things that I've done because it was just naturally me. And it wasn't like I'd done the straightforward finish school, go to university or college and get a degree and get a job. And then at some point down the track, think, right now I'm going to go and walk from Pakistan up into Tibet kind of thing. It wasn't like that. It was as a teenager rebelling against my father, who I loved, but I also didn't want to be like. And it was just natural for me to be rebellious, to go in, kind of be a punk and to live in squats in London. And I was anti-establishment. I left home and just went as far away as I could. And I traveled all through my 20s. I was passionately anti-establishment. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to be in the rat wheel. That was normal and natural for me. I look back over the things that I've done, from being a tribal tattooist all around the world to earn money, to being a fire dancer in Asia, or a kindergarten teacher in Taiwan, or a motorcycle courier, or a volunteer in third world countries. All of that just kind of happened. Do you know what I mean? Like I was just being me. It didn't feel extraordinary to me. It just felt like I was exploring the world, and that's what I wanted to do. So I live this beautiful, colorful life now with the benefit of hindsight and retrospection, looking back at it going, wow. And it all makes sense to me now, the adventures and the travels and the crazy places that I immersed myself into. I was wandering around the subcontinent of India for years, barefoot with dreadlocks, cooking on a fire, immersing myself into little tiny villages in the middle of nowhere, not speaking each other's language, but somehow figuring out how to buy my vegetables in the marketplace and take them back and cook on a fire where I was camping, living outdoors. And then eventually finding this family up in the Himalayan mountains who I lived with, and we all fell in love with each other, me and this family. They subsequently kind of adopted me into their family, and I lived with them for a long time. This was back in 1998. And now jump forward to 2025, and this family is still my second family, and I've been running retreats up from their home, out of their homestay up into the Himalaya 12 years now. And we're still doing that. And they've given me and Talia, my partner, a piece of land, and now we're raising money to build a not-for-profit meditation retreat education center there.
A full circle.
Yeah,
moment.
Full circle. So in the meantime, went in my early 30s, fell in love, became a dad, got married, became a dad. And as someone who had just been kind of bumming around the world, really, to then being a dad, I was like, oh, wow, I've got to find a way to feed these kids. So I got a job with a travel company because I'd been traveling and that's all I knew. And I worked with this international travel company. And all of a sudden, this alternative, formerly dreadlocked, covered in tattoos guy was wearing a shirt and tie, which felt very weird. but I did
A
it.
gut.
And I had a reasonably successful short stint in the corporate world, 8 years in the corporate world. And I ended up in senior leadership with 150 staff. And I'd bought into my section of the business. So I had skin in the game. My part of the business was turning over $100 million a year. So there was lots of zeros on the spreadsheets. And there was that incessant pressure every month that people in the corporate world understand, which is to drive net profit growth. Like if you're not growing your net profit month on month, you're in trouble. So I experienced that for years, eventually realized it wasn't for me, but in the meantime, learned some wonderful things about leadership. The company that I worked for was great at investing in leadership development. I got exposed to coaching and NLP and human behavioral profiling and all the stuff that I love to this day. So when that time came to an end, which was what people call a midlife crisis, for me was a midlife awakening or a reawakening. I kind of remembered what I'd already figured out in my 20s. But yeah, lost my job, lost my marriage, my home, all my belongings, kept my 2 sons, thankfully, 50-50, week on, week off with my boys, but got the opportunity to start all over again and start the work, the deep work on self. And this was 12 years ago, and this has become a daily practice for me, which has just been beautiful. And then to start my coaching and retreat facilitation business, which thankfully has been thriving. So here we are, and I'm having a chat with you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a journey. I feel like obviously that's the condensed version of the story, but I love all of these moments. And you said, looking back now, things make sense. And you really can only connect the dots looking backwards. I love that you redefined a midlife crisis to a midlife awakening or reawakening.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's only a crisis if we call it a crisis, but really it's not always happening to us, it's happening for us. Or it probably always
I
is
think so, yeah.
happening for us.
And even if someone was to say, Laura, that's just a perspective shift, remove the word just, because a perspective shift completely changes your experience of what you're going through in any given moment. So depending on how you look at something determines your relationship with that thing, whether it's an event or a time in your life or a moment or a quote unquote crisis. And when you shift your perspective, your relationship with it changes. So your experience in that moment changes. So your physiological state of being changes. Your emotional, mental, physical state of experience changes, which then in turn informs the way you're moving through that moment. So crisis becomes opportunity. Something stressful becomes something hopeful. Feeling uncomfortable becomes exciting because you might grow or learn something new. And our day-to-day experience is our life, right? Our life is made up of this moment, into this moment, into this moment. That's our life. And I love this. We're all going to die and we don't know when. My youngest brother died when he was 30 years old on his motorbike, instant gone. But his life was fuller than most people I know who've lived a whole life. And when he died, one of the things that really stuck with me after that was this true deep understanding that this could be your last day. I imagine I'm going to live till I'm 100. That's how I think I am going to live till I'm 100. But I might not. And so how is today? What's my experience of today like? And there's a lot of choice in that. And a lot of it, just to come back to what you said before, a lot of it is around the choice of how you're looking at things, your perspective.
It's interesting. Recently, you've heard me share a bit about my talk, A Life Worth Dying For. And in doing the work and thinking about this talk and preparing it and creating it, I started looking at this idea of the saying, you can't live every day like it's your last. And it's a story. And I'm like, but actually, what if we did? What if that's totally false? What if that's a narrative? Like the other one is you can't have it all, right? Like you can't have love and wealth, right? Like if you have wealth, your personal life and your marriage is falling apart. And if you have love, you're going to be poor. It's like these stories and the movies and society perpetuates these things. And this idea of it's irresponsible to live every day like it's your last because you're going to blow all your money or you're going to make these rash choices. But if we're always assuming that we're going to have another 50 years or however many years or days, then the days just pass without intention and without the moment leading to the moment. They just go by and you're not learning from them. And so what if we actually could live every day like it's our last? Who would we spend it with? What would we do? What would we be creating? Is it the business we've created? Would you and I be having this conversation? Would I want to be spending this time with you and you with me? The answer is yes, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's reevaluating how we show up in the world and the choices that we make, because we have choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can choose to do things or not. I think that was just something that I've really been diving deep into lately.
I love that. I love that. I guess this happens as we get older. Well, at least for you and I, through our conversations, I know this has been happening for you too. But for me, as I get older, I think, okay, if this really was my last day, I wouldn't want to run away from this conversation and go and get on a plane and jump out of it and parachute, or jump on a yacht, or drink alcohol, or try and run around and do these things that when I was 20, I probably would have gone, it's my last day, I got to do all this. I don't. That's not what I would choose to do. I would be in this conversation with you. And when this conversation comes to its natural end, everything else I've got in front of me this day, I would do, including being with my beautiful woman, then walking our little 1-year-old fluffy puppy on the beach at the end of the day. And that's what I've got in front of me. And that's exactly what I would do. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? If it was my last day, what would I do? And that changes as we move through life. But I think for me, it's more about the quality of our relationships. And how are you in relationship with people? You know that Harvard study on adult development, the one that's been going on for 80 or 90 years or something, right? It's the longest study on human beings. And the most resounding finding that they've come up with is that the quality of our life is directly correlated to the quality of our relationships. Not how many houses you had or how big your business was or your yachts. No, the quality of your relationships. Because you can go and create all of the wealth and the stuff, but if those really important relationships to you aren't great, your experience of life isn't great. I love that. And so for me, it's about, if today was my last day, I'm not going to waste time or energy with the people that I love unnecessarily in icky yuckiness. To me, that just is point. That to me does not make sense. So every time I say goodbye to anyone I love, I'm looking them in the eyes and saying, hey, I love you completely, just the way you are. That's my children, my partner, my mum, my family, my friends. You know what? I've recently started signing off my emails to my community, to people like you, with love. I'm not going to try and hide that anymore because it doesn't sound businessy or corporate enough. I'm like, no. I actually mean it. Do you know what I mean? I mean it.
Yeah, you have to choose what feels right to you. And I always say that just because something's always been done a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You have to find your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I alluded to earlier when we were talking, me finding my own way when I was a teenager and in my 20s was a reaction to my father, and it was rebellion. And then as I got older and became a father myself, me finding my own way as an entrepreneur hasn't been a reaction or a rebellion. It's been an adventure and an independence, and I guess maybe a bit of a drive towards uniqueness in a way, like wanting to just do it my way, which has meant that a lot of the things have been tougher and harder. Like if I just had followed people say, when you're setting up your coaching practice, do this and this and this, and you'll be fine. And I, for some reason, just didn't want to do it the way everyone else had done it.
Yeah, you're going to the beat of your own drum, as you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So how have all these experiences shaped you as a person, as a leader, your approach to leadership, personal growth, the work that you do? Because I think this diverse background has really formed who you are. But can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah. One of the exercises that I love doing with leaders, helping them find themselves in authentic leadership. So I'm really big on authenticity, which is discovering yourself, trusting that you are exactly who you're supposed to be in this moment. I'm not saying that in the future you won't evolve and grow and learn. I mean that right now, in this moment, you are exactly who you're supposed to be, apparently, because there you are, right? And we can argue with reality if we want to, but reality always wins. So there's no point. So we just may as well accept, okay, here I am. I love guiding leaders through an exercise to uncover their deepest qualities of who they are, who they aspire to be in terms of their core values, then putting that into the identity of the type of leader that they should be. And if your core values are kind, caring, compassionate, action-taking, open-minded, whatever your core values are, then that's the type of leader you should be, right? You shouldn't be more like anyone else. Now, I'm not saying that we can't develop, nurture, and curate certain qualities of leadership that are going to help us serve more effectively, 100%. But let's start at the start, which is you being your authentic self. And I love that whenever I'm running a workshop or a retreat or coaching my clients one-to-one and I help them discover this, it just pays the most amazing dividends because all of a sudden they can just relax and breathe into their role as themselves. And it doesn't take effort to be yourself. It takes effort to try and be more like someone else. It doesn't take energy to be you once you just trust that you're who you should be. And then your work, it's not a job anymore. It's an expression of yourself in this life. And you can get paid at the same time, which is a bonus.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've had many people over the years say to me, right, isn't it exhausting to always be on brand? No, because this is me. Like, I don't have to fake it. I don't have to be somebody different. I don't have to show up differently. And there was also a period of time where I feel like we've moved away from it. And it's definitely what I teach, is that people were compartmentalizing themselves. It's like, oh, this is your LinkedIn profile. And this is how you talk on LinkedIn. It's very business. This is how you're on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. And people were just compartmentalizing who they were or only showing a slice of themselves because that's what they think people wanted to see on this particular platform. And I totally disagree with that. I'm like, I'm going to be the same. I might share slightly different content on LinkedIn than I'm going to on my personal Facebook page. Probably going to see more of my kids, but I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to change the language. I'm not going to hide my pink hair or my tattoos. You know what I mean? I'm not going to hide those pieces of me because they are me.
Yeah, I love that.
And if I'm hiding that, then I'm being inauthentic.
Yeah, I love that. Even an extension of what I'm hearing you say is, and for me, it's been through, because I am my own brand, is that if I'm upfront straight away, then it's a litmus test. It sorts out the people that don't want to work with me anyway. If you go to my website, pretty quickly you see me. And if that puts you off, then great. We're not meant to work together and that's completely fine, but it saves a bit of time.
Yeah, for everybody. I always say your brand should attract the right people and repel the wrong people.
Yeah.
It should make people go onto your website or see your content on social and go, this person is 100% for me, or this person is 100% not for me. And if you're somewhere in the middle, then you're trying to please too many different people and it's less authentic.
Yeah, completely. I love that. And back to that authenticity piece, it actually, everything starts to flourish when you trust that. And for me, when I'm sharing the practices, my daily habitual practices that have created a foundation of inner peace and fulfillment for me over the years, and these practices I've been exploring for 30 years, through the days of wandering around as a hippie and right through the corporate world and then now, when I'm sharing these practices with clients, I'm only sharing things that I do every single day. I'm not saying you should practice mindfulness meditation because I read in a book somewhere it'll help you. You know what I mean? I'm not suggesting that 30 seconds of full blast cold water at the end of your hot shower in the morning and then doing affirmations when the dopamine levels are higher, because then the neuroplasticity is more active and that you can actually formulate your meta framework of beliefs and perspectives through repetition. I'm not suggesting that you should do this because I read it in a book somewhere. I'm suggesting it because I've been practicing it for over 12 years now and it works.
Yeah. So you have these leadership retreats and I would love to hear more about them. I mean, I know more, but I'd love for you to share more, but I know they take places in the Himalayas and Bali, and you take these leaders outside of their corporate setting or their business, the day-to-day of their lives, and into these kind of wild, transformative, disconnected, and yet connected places. What has that experience been like for you to lead people, but also what is the experience that they're having?
Something you just said then, and I hadn't put these words to it in this sentence before, but we do take people to a place where they're disconnected from their normal paradigm, and so that they can completely, deeply connect with the deepest essence of what it is to exist, what it is to be. It's a real hero's journey, and it's quite beautiful because we strip away the layers of stuff. And for the experience, so many people use the word transformation. Oh, it's a transformative experience and you'll have transformation and everything. And it kind of gets overused, which is a shame because our experiences actually are. Like every single person that comes on this journey with us actually transforms. And it's sustainable. It stays like that when they come home. And everyone who comes away with us to the Himalaya or on our Bali or the desert retreats or whatever, when they come home, they're part of an alumni. We stay in touch with them. I'm quite often I'm coaching them for years afterwards, because for the transformation to be sustainable, you need to create daily habitual practices that form that foundation of the way that you now see the world. But the transformation itself, there's various different factors that allow it to occur. One of them being is that you are actually physically going somewhere very, very different to your normal day-to-day. When you land in Delhi and we pick you up from Delhi airport, and then we carefully strip away the layers of what's normal for you, at the same time, everything smells different and sounds different and looks different. And then when we walk through as guests and we walk through a slum in Delhi and you sit down and you're invited to drink tea with someone who lives under a tarpaulin, and this is their home, and they're proud to have you under their tarpaulin. And then when we fly on the little plane up into the Himalayan mountains, and my family over there picks us up in their beaten up 4-wheel drives, and the music is different and the smells are different and everything's different. And then we end up in this little temple on the side of a Himalayan mountain, and we're surrounded by these stunning mountains. And obviously we're teaching the content. I teach the 8 principles of inner peace that I've developed. And then when we're trekking, then the nature, this is another element of the importance of the way we put our retreats together. So another really important part of them is it's got to be immersed in stunning nature, whether it's in the deserts or whether it's in the jungles of Bali, or whether it's in, my favorite is the immensely magnificent Himalayan mountains, and this particular neck of the woods that we go to. So I've trekked all through the Himalayan mountains, through Pakistan, India, Nepal, Tibet, all along. This particular area of the Himalayan mountains, there's something going on there that's super special. It's a healing, very, very healing energy. It's hard for me to describe without sounding a bit woo-woo, but there's ley lines or something going on there. And I've experienced this firsthand because I healed from a very serious motorcycle accident in this area back in the 90s. And I had what I can only look back on as a miraculous healing. I had this accelerated healing. Like I'd lost the skin off my face. I had big gouges in my face from the road. And the healing was nothing short of miraculous, dare I say. It was accelerated. It was incredible. And it was to do with the energy in this part of the world. Anyway, this is where we run the retreats. So when we get up into the mountains, there's the visual stunningness, but there's this energetic stunningness as well. And because you're off the grid and your phone doesn't work and we're guiding you through practices, the perspective that every client has on their life back home, all the way back in where they're from, in the States or Australia or Europe, the perspective that they get, they've never had before. They see their life in a way they've never seen it before. It's really beautiful. And then we come back down to the village and we do a future design day and a simulation day. And then we go back down into the world of all the stuff that money can buy, back into Delhi and into the nice cars. And we go down to the Taj Mahal and we stay in the Oberoi, and it's all la-di-da. But now we're helping our clients see through the stuff. It's almost like the Matrix. When Neo takes the pill and all of a sudden he can see through the Matrix. That's kind of what it's like.
Interesting. What a gift that is to lead people through that.
One of the days we wake up in the morning and I just say 2 things to all of our guests. Today we walk in silence, so not a word spoken all day. And the second thing I say to them, and for the first half of the day, we walk really slowly, really slowly. Like if you flew over us in a helicopter and looked down, it would look like we were standing still. That's how slowly we walk. And it's fascinating because I can feel inside everyone's minds, everyone's tripping out going, we can't do this. I can't walk this slowly all day. We're not going to get anywhere. How are we going to get anywhere? We'll never climb to the peak kind of thing. This Western idea that we have to get to the top, right? And one by one in this beautiful day of silence and walking meditation, people just pop. It's beautiful. Everybody pops into this beautiful meditative state. And then in the second half of the day of silence, we do this beautiful, I won't give away too much. Some of your listeners might want to come. We do this beautiful ceremony, which is very profound. There's quite often tears. And I get to hold this space. And then at the end of that day, when we start gathering wood to make the fire at the campsite, and then we start to bring language back into the day, everybody in their own way, everybody comes up to either me or Talia, my partner, and just says, that was the most profound day of my life. Thank you. And in that moment, oh my Lord, I am feeling so grateful, so honored so exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm like, this is why I'm here. This is my soul contract, if you want to call it that. This is why I'm here. This is why all those chapters of my life that didn't make sense at the time, this is why they happened for this moment. And I just feel so blessed and so lucky that I get to do that.
I was going to ask you about legacy next, but I feel like this is your life's work. This is what you are here to do.
Yeah, I think so. I love this question because when I first heard this, I thought, wow, that's actually so true. So I ask people, do you know the first names of your 4 grandparents? And most people go, yeah, I do. And then I say, do you know the names of your 8 great-grandparents? And most people go, no, I don't. I don't know their names. And then I say, well, imagine this, your grandkids, right? The kids that run around your feet and sit on your lap on the rocking chair on the porch, their kids won't even know who you were. So we think about legacy as in personal, living on. No, that's not going to happen. That's not what legacy's about. Legacy's about the positive ripples that you create that carry on and hopefully turn into waves of positive effect. And no one knows who dropped the pebble in the pond in the first place. That's legacy. So this year, I'm super, super excited. For the first time, we're raising money to build our first charity. And the charity is going to be called the Center of Love Foundation. And the charity is to raise money, initially to raise money to build the not-for-profit Center of Love, which is a meditation retreat education center that we're building on some land in the Himalaya next to our family's temple. And they've given us some land to build on. And the whole idea of this meditation center is that it'll be a revenue generation enterprise for the charities that we've set up over there. So we built a little school and we sponsor a few kids through school, but our vision is to create a social enterprise that generates its own revenue so that it can continue to provide education for kids in villages who can't afford it, and to also put monies into my brother over there has an NGO for forest conservation, to conserve the forest. And that's exciting for me. We're going to build this center and it will outlive us. And when we're gone, no one will even know who Jem Fuller was. And that's not the point, because there will be this meditation retreat center that is supporting kids through education in the Himalayan mountains and beyond. And hopefully, I'm connecting with these people around the world at the moment, like some of the people as well, these amazing people around the world. And we're going to build these centers of love around the world and kind of create this ecosystem of meditation retreat centers that are aware of each other, and maybe even synchronize meditations and see if we can help humanity shift in the right direction a bit.
I love it. Jem, you were so easy to talk to and always have such amazing insights. And I feel like I learned something new. And I love that this conversation I got to record and can share it, because you are such a gift. And I would love for you to share, how can people learn more about supporting the Center of Love? How can they learn more about your next retreats coming up this year? I know you've got one or several happening. How can people connect with you?
Oh, thanks, Laura. Everything you can find from jemfuller.com. If you want to skip going to that website and getting led to the Himalayan site, you can go straight to meaningonthemountain.com.au. That's the Himalayan retreat and our fundraiser there for the Center of Love. We're currently in the process of seed funding to set up the charity and get the 501c3 and to build the site and all of that sort of stuff. So there's a GoFundMe page as well. I don't know, maybe you can pop it in your notes, or it might be too late by the time this airs. I'm not sure. We'll see where we're at. But jemfuller.com, and Jem Fuller on Insta, and Jem Fuller on LinkedIn, and it's kind of Jem Fuller everywhere. And I'm also super accessible. I really genuinely love connecting with authentic people who care about humanity, who are positive and think that we can actually make a difference. So reach out to me, book a time in my calendar. Let's jam, let's connect.
That's how you and I connected. We got introduced by mutual connection. We set up a call, we jammed, and now here we are having more and more deep conversations. I'll make sure to share those links in the show notes. Yep. Thank you again. And I look forward to one day meeting in person and giving you a giant hug.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too, Laura. Thank you again for having me on your show, and lots of love.
Thank you. You too. Right back at you.
Thanks for tuning into the Legacy Branding Podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired and empowered you on your journey to building a brand that truly matters. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other founders who you think would benefit from listening. And if you're ready to take the next step in building your legacy brand, Visit our website, labcreative.ca, to learn more and book a call. Don't forget to join us next time for more conversations that will help you navigate your transition and create your legacy. Until then, I'm Laura Beaubrelin.